is reportedly planning to allow third-party app stores on its iPhones and iPads.
That major project will help company abide by Digital Markets Act. Strong comments from Tim Cook and others saying, oh my God, sideloading is a security nightmare.
Freedom! Europe is liberating developers from Apple's tyrannical grip on the app ecosystem, or have people not actually thought through the consequences, and will Apple comply to the letter of the law without really giving anything away? Let's talk. Want the latest Apple news, leaks and rumours? Subscribe and ring the bell. What the law says. Europe's Digital Markets Act, or DMA, basically means that Apple could be forced to allow alternative ways of getting apps onto the iPhone or the iPad for the first time without using Apple's own first-party app store to get them, whether free or paid. Now, since Apple launched the App Store the day before the iPhone 3G launched in 2008, it has been the only way to get your non-web apps onto your iPhone. Why could this be dangerous? Apple's argument for the App Store has always been that they have all the checks and balances in place to make sure that the apps in their store are safe, not scams, and not going to take over your device. This is their argument for the value offered by the 15% that Apple takes from payments paid on the platform. Wait, you're surprised I didn't say 30%? Well, Apple only takes 15% for the first $1 million of any developer's revenue per year, with 30% on anything over $1 million, which means that 98% of developers will only ever pay 15%. It's only the huge companies, which can, let's be honest, probably afford it, that have to pay the higher revenue share. Now, Apple's track record with this hasn't been 100% perfect, but it has been a damn sight better than the alternatives with Google Play and the Android platform in general, where there are certainly ways to install apps which haven't previously been checked by the platform's team. Apple has vastly fewer scam apps, and when they do happen, they don't stay there for very long. So third-party app stores would likely not have the same level of oversight and quality control going on that Apple's currently does, but many have said if you don't want to enable these third-party stores, you won't need to use them. So of course, everyone can just choose to stay safe in the Apple App Store world, right? Apple can just throw in a couple of buried toggles in the settings app to enable them, and the non-power users can just stick to what they already have right now. Well, the problem is, it probably won't be that simple. What if major apps move? Here's the big problem. And of course, there's no guarantee that Apple would even be allowed to offer a disable third-party app store, toggle in settings, or to make it difficult for sideloading. But either way, if there's apps that people really want that are only in those other app stores, people are going to switch them on anyway, even if only in their minds to get those specific apps. Now, I can't imagine that Tim Sweeney over at Epic Games isn't already dancing for joy at the prospect of being able to add his own store and bring Fortnite back to the iPhone and the iPad. And yeah, it's a decent game, although I personally prefer Call of Duty Mobile more than the cartoon version. We have the same issues though with things like Twitter. Elon seems pretty unhappy with the way that Apple wants content to be at least vaguely safe, so why wouldn't Elon just take Twitter to another app store instead of the Apple one and save himself the cash for the people that want to pay to verify themselves too? Kind of makes sense to me, because he looks like he's running out of money. Or Mark Zuckerberg, he's going to build a meta store to get your Facebook, your Instagram, your WhatsApp, all without that pesky Apple app tracking transparency that lets you control your data, but costs Meta a fortune on lower ad revenues. You can see it's not going to take long for most people to need to switch on the third-party app stores, if you even have to turn them on in the first place. But as soon as you can install non-Apple checked software, things could go south pretty quickly. Here's the part where it could get scary. We've all seen those "your flash is out of date" pop-ups on the desktop. Now, they're pretty obviously scams, and just like a lot of the email scams where you find out that the FBI is trying to send you some money that's being held after the death of a relative in an African country or something, they're actually crap on purpose so that they only get the easiest targets to click, because they are the easiest to exploit down the line. And just in case you're unsure, Flash is not a thing anymore. It's dead, it doesn't exist, so if you're being asked to update it, that's not a thing. But what if you're using your iPhone in an app and you see an ad for another app that you might find pretty useful? You click it and you see this. Looks nice and safe like Apple's App Store, but you've already enabled third-party stores to be able to install something that was well known and safe like Facebook or Fortnite. Don't worry, I'm not judging you. The thing is, this isn't Apple's App Store. This is a scammy third-party one designed to look exactly like Apple's own App Store, and it's actually downloading malware onto your phone. This is the same iPhone iPhone that has your bank details and your banking app, your constant GPS positioning so they know when you're away from your home, all of your contact details, all of your emails and your text messages, and you're definitely not compromising images. Oh, and of course there's a couple of cameras and microphones attached to it as well that Apple until now has been making sure aren't used without your knowledge. Just bear that in mind. And it's people like me, and if you're watching this, probably you, who will be spending all of your visits to family members this holiday season, or at least the next one once this happens, trying to troubleshoot all of the issues that have been caused with your mum or your granddad's iPhone. You know you are the default tech support for your family, and I know that my comment section will be full of it, with people asking me why their phone no longer works properly. Now, how could Apple actually hobble these outside apps? Here's what I have a feeling might be about to happen. While Apple will have to allow these apps to be sideloaded or installed from other stores, they don't have to make it easy for developers who choose to do that. Right now, if you're an Apple developer, you will get access to all those APIs and frameworks that make Apple's ecosystem what it is. Imagine you're trying to build a massive tower with a flag on the 20th floor. Apple's frameworks are basically your first 15 to 17 floors already built for you. Without an Apple developer account for the App Store, Apple is likely to not allow third parties to use their own delivery methods and use their frameworks and APIs. Now, there could eventually be some proprietary frameworks or open source stuff and APIs that are built to have your software talk to the iPhone's hardware, but that is going to be expensive and time consuming to code. And while Apple's frameworks get updated every year for the new iPhone and iPad hardware so that developers don't have to kind of rewrite their entire code every year when the new devices appear, that would likely also not be the case without Apple's own frameworks and API calls.
Good morning and welcome to the Steve Jobs Theater.
So, if you were wondering what the cut that Apple takes from the app payments is, that 15 to 30%, it's this. It's paying for Xcode, it's paying for development resources and teams of software engineers at Apple, as well as WWDC, and of course access to Apple's 1.5 billion active devices and the audience behind them, and of course payment processing and all of that jazz. Now, I don't know what people's thoughts are, but if they wanted to sell something in a store like a Walmart or a supermarket of some description, your locals may vary, there is a cut that goes to the supermarket. They don't just let you pop in and set up your own stall. They also wouldn't be that happy if you set up your own shop in the car park that they built. So, that 15 to 30% doesn't necessarily seem like such a bad deal all of a sudden. But let me know your thoughts. I know not everyone's going to agree with my take here, but this is how I see it going down. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned. More is coming.